The stars looked the same as they always had from the International Space Station. Captain Tom Reed floated by the observation window, sipping his morning coffee from a sealed container. The Earth turned slowly below, blue and perfect. He had seen this view 1,000 times, but it never got old. "Captain, you might want to take a look at this," called Sam, the station's science officer. Tom pushed himself across the module toward the monitoring station. "What is it?" "Strange readings near Jupiter. Energy signatures unlike anything we've seen before." Tom frowned at the screen. The blips of light didn't match any known spacecraft or natural phenomena. "How long has this been happening?" "Started about 3 hours ago. At first I thought it was a glitch in our systems." "And now?" Sam looked up, his face pale. "Now I think we're not alone." Within 24 hours, the strange readings moved from Jupiter to Mars. Earth's government scrambled to make sense of what was happening. News channels ran nonstop coverage, with experts arguing whether this was first contact or a natural event science couldn't yet explain. Lisa Clark, head of NASA's exobiology division, was pulled from her bed at 3 a.m. and flown to the White House. She had spent her career searching for signs of microbial life on Mars. Never had she imagined she would be sitting in the Situation Room, explaining to the president why she believed Earth was about to meet beings from another world. "They're not trying to hide," she said, pointing to the latest satellite data. "Whatever these craft are, they're moving with purpose, directly toward Earth." "Are they hostile?" the president asked. Lisa shook her head. "We have no way of knowing, but their technology is clearly far beyond ours. The energy output from these objects would power our entire planet for years." The first ships appeared in Earth's orbit at dawn 2 days later. Massive vessels that dwarfed anything humans had ever built, shimmering with lights and materials that seemed to bend reality. The world held its breath. And then more ships arrived. Different in design, these new vessels moved with aggressive purpose, firing weapons at the first set of ships. The night sky lit up with energies no human had ever witnessed. In his apartment in New York, Jack Miller watched through his window as streaks of light crisscrossed the sky. A former Marine, he knew what combat looked like, even if the scale was beyond anything he could comprehend. This wasn't first contact. This was a battle. And Earth was caught in the middle. The alien transmissions came simultaneously to every communication device on the planet. The translation software worked quickly. Too quickly, making some scientists suspect the message had been specifically formatted for human understanding. "We are the Axis fleet. We seek temporary refuge in your system while we repair our vessels. We mean no harm." The second message followed minutes later. "We are the Coalition. The Axis are criminals and fugitives. Do not assist them. This conflict does not concern your world, but it did concern Earth." Within hours, the battle in orbit intensified. A coalition weapon missed its Axis target and struck Madrid instead. 8 million people gone in an instant. The world's military forces launched everything they had, but it was like throwing stones at tanks. Nuclear weapons detonated harmlessly against the alien shields. In orbit, Captain Tom Reed watched helplessly as bright flashes lit up the surface of his home planet. The ISS communication system buzzed with a message, not from Earth, but from one of the Axis ships. "We regret involving your world in our conflict. As recompense, we offer rescue for as many as we can transport." On the ground, Dr. Lisa Clark worked frantically with an international team to understand the alien technology from the few damaged pieces that had fallen to Earth. In 72 hours without sleep, they made more technological progress than humanity had in the previous century. "We can adapt their drive systems to our largest vessels," she explained to the Emergency World Council. "Not enough to fight back, but maybe enough to get some of us off-world before—" She didn't need to finish the sentence. The Coalition and Axis battle had moved into the atmosphere. Cities burned. The oceans boiled in some regions. Earth was dying. Jack Miller found himself leading an evacuation team at the Kennedy Space Center, where engineers worked around the clock to retrofit Earth's spacecraft with the reverse-engineered alien tech. Crowds pressed against the perimeter fences, desperate, frightened people who knew the world was ending. "We can't save everyone," his commander said grimly. "Priority is for scientists, engineers, doctors, people who can help rebuild." Jack looked at the families beyond the fence. "That's not right. We need to take children, ordinary people too. What's the point of saving humanity if we lose what makes us human?" The argument spread through the command chain, but there wasn't time for debate. The Coalition had begun systematic attacks on Earth itself, claiming the Axis had hidden resources on the surface. When the first retrofitted ships lifted off, they carried a mix of Earth's best minds and random citizens who had simply been in the right place at the right time. Jack Miller made sure of that, standing at the boarding ramp and pulling people from the crowd until security dragged him aboard the final vessel. In orbit, Captain Reed received the evacuation ships at a rendezvous point behind the moon where the battle hadn't yet reached. The scene was chaos. Spacecraft never designed for deep space were packed with terrified civilians, some already failing as their hastily installed alien technology malfunctioned. "We have 9 million people spread across 300 vessels," Reed reported over the emergency channel. "Where do we go?" The answer came from Dr. Clark, now aboard the converted oil rig vessel renamed Endurance. "We've decoded some of their star charts. There are habitable worlds within reach if these engines hold out." The evacuation fleet prepared to depart as Earth, once blue and perfect, burned below them. The Coalition and Axis continued their battle, neither side seeming to notice or care about the primitive species fleeing the destruction. Captain Reed took one last look at his home planet. Continents were now unrecognizable, covered in fire or shrouded in ash clouds. He thought of the billions who couldn't escape, of the history and art and music that was being lost forever. "They'll pay for this," he whispered. "Both sides." Dr. Clark's voice came over the comm. "All ships ready, Captain. It's time to go." As the fleet engaged their alien-human hybrid drives, accelerating away from the solar system, the people of Earth took their first steps into a galaxy that had dismissed them as primitive and irrelevant. They didn't know the names of the worlds that awaited them, or the challenges they would face. They didn't know if they would find allies or only more enemies. They only knew one thing for certain: humanity was no longer confined to Earth. And the species that had destroyed their home would soon learn what humans could do when pushed to the edge of extinction. Behind them, in the final transmission anyone would ever receive from Earth, a lone voice spoke from some unknown bunker deep. Beneath the surface, "Remember us, remember Earth, and make them remember too." The stars welcomed the last of humanity into their cold embrace. 5 years passed like a dream, or a nightmare. The human fleet, once united in their escape from Earth, had scattered across several star systems. Communication was difficult, resources were scarce, and hope was in short supply. Jack Miller walked through the crowded hallways of the colony ship Endurance, nodding to people as he passed. As head of security, he knew every face aboard. 9,000 souls crammed into a vessel never designed to house so many for so long. "Another fight in the mess hall," reported his deputy, a young woman named Anna, who had been a police officer, back on Earth. "People are getting restless," Jack sighed. What was it this time? Food. Again. Someone accused the kitchen staff of giving bigger portions to the engineers. This was becoming too common. The Endurance had been designed as an oil rig support vessel before the hasty evacuation. Now it served as home to thousands, drifting between star systems, stopping only to mine asteroids or gas giants for the raw materials needed to keep the engines running. Jack headed to the bridge where Captain Reed was studying star charts. The captain had aged 20 years and 5. His hair had gone completely gray and deep lines marked his face. "How are we doing, Tom?" Jack asked. "The old military ranks long abandoned. We've made contact with 3 more ships from the fleet," Reed answered, his voice tired but hopeful. "The Darwin, the New Horizon, and the Singapore, all in one piece, all with survivors." "How many does that make now?" 87 ships accounted for about 2 million people. Reed didn't need to do the math out loud. Of the 300 ships that had fled Earth, More than 2/3 were still missing, and of the roughly 9 million evacuees, less than a quarter were confirmed alive. The Terran remnant grows, Jack said, trying to sound positive. That was what they called themselves now. The Terran remnant. A reminder of what they had lost and what they carried forward. There's something else, Reed said, lowering his voice. We picked up transmissions from a trading outpost in the next system. Other species, Jack. A whole galaxy of them out there trading and fighting and living while we've been running and hiding. Jack felt a chill. The ones who destroyed Earth? Maybe. We don't know enough yet. But Dr. Clark wants to send a team to make contact. We need allies, Jack. We can't survive alone forever. In the depths of the Endurance, Dr. Lisa Clark worked with a team of scientists and engineers in what had once been the ship's cargo hold. Now it was their research center, filled with a mix of salvaged Earth technology and the alien devices they had managed to take during the evacuation. Try it again, she told her assistant, a young physicist named Mike. Mike placed his hand on the alien device, a simple control panel they had removed from debris in Earth orbit. The panel lit up, its strange symbols glowing blue under his touch. It's working, he said. Lisa frowned. That's the 5th time today it's worked for you, but not for me or Dan. Maybe it likes me better, Mike joked. But Lisa wasn't laughing. She had noticed a pattern over the past year. Certain people could operate the alien technology more easily than others, and it wasn't related to intelligence or technical skill. It was something else. Something about human neural patterns that seemed to interface with the alien tech in unexpected ways. I want to try something, she said. Keep your hand on the panel, but this time, don't try to make it work. Just think about, I don't know, your old home on Earth. Mike looked confused, but did as she asked. The panel's glow intensified, and suddenly a holographic display appeared above it, showing not the alien symbols they expected, but a scene of mountains and forests. Exactly what Mike had been picturing in his mind. That's impossible, Dan whispered. That's Colorado. I recognize those peaks. Lisa's heart raced. It's responding to human thought patterns. Not just accepting them as input, it's adapting to them. The implications were enormous. The aliens' technology wasn't just more advanced, it was fundamentally different. And humans, with their primitive brains, were interacting with it in ways its creators might never have imagined. 2 days later, Jack Miller led a small team to the alien trading outpost in a modified shuttle. Captain Reed had argued against it, but Dr. Clark had been persuasive. They needed to know more about the galaxy they now inhabited. The trading post orbited a small moon, a hodgepodge of structures connected by docking tubes. Ships of various designs came and went, none of them recognizable to human eyes. Remember, Jack told his team, we're just traders looking for supplies. Keep your helmets on, don't mention Earth or the fleet. They docked without incident, using an adapter Dr. Clark's team had created based on the alien technology they'd studied. When the airlock opened, Jack felt a wave of dizziness. The gravity was slightly off, and the air, while breathable according to their instruments, smelled wrong. The creatures they met came in all shapes and sizes. Some looked almost like giant insects, others like reptiles walking on 2 legs. A few could have passed for human from a distance, until you noticed the blue skin or the extra fingers. Using translation devices cobbled together from the alien tech, Jack's team managed basic communication. They traded some of their refined metals for fuel and information. The aliens saw them as curiosities, a previously unknown species with crude technology. No one seemed to connect them to Earth or recognize them as human. They think we're primitives, Anna whispered to Jack as they left a trading booth. Did you see how that thing laughed when I asked about our drive system? Jack nodded, but his attention was elsewhere. Across the busy market area, 2 tall, slender aliens in what looked like military uniforms were watching them. Their stance reminded Jack of coalition troops from the brief glimpses he'd had during Earth's final days. Time to go, he said quietly. Don't look back, don't run, just head for the dock. They made it back to their shuttle without incident, but as they pulled away from the trading post, a larger ship detached from another dock and followed them. Coalition patrol, the pilot said, her voice tight with fear. They don't know who we are, Jack reminded her. They've never seen humans up close. But he was wrong. As their shuttle accelerated away, the alien ship sent a transmission. Unidentified vessel. You carry survivors of planet designation Terra 3. Return to inspection. Point or be destroyed. They knew. Somehow they knew humans had survived. Get us back to the Endurance, Jack ordered. Maximum speed, and send a message to all Terran ships in range. We've been discovered. As their shuttle raced through space, Jack thought about what they had learned. The galaxy was full of species, some at war, some at peace. Earth had been nothing but collateral damage in a conflict too vast for humans to comprehend. But the aliens had made a mistake. They should have made sure no humans survived. Because now, scattered among the stars, the remnants of humanity were learning, adapting, and discovering that their primitive minds might be their greatest weapon. And they hadn't forgotten the last message from Earth. Remember us. Remember Earth. And make them remember too. 2 years had passed since the encounter at the trading post. The scattered ships of humanity had come together, abandoning their wandering for a permanent home. They called it New Terra, an abandoned mining moon, orbiting a gas giant in a system far from the main space lanes. The moon's surface was barren and cold, but beneath it lay vast caverns left behind by the aliens who had mined it centuries ago. Now these caverns housed the last of humanity. Nearly 3 million people living in a strange mix of human ingenuity and alien technology. Colonel Kate Wilson stood on the observation platform overlooking the defense grid. Once a pilot in Earth's Air Force, she now commanded the Terran Defense Force. The irony wasn't lost on her. Earth had had no real defenses against the aliens. Now, the survivors were determined not to make the same mistake twice. Status report, she said to the young officer beside her. All systems green, Colonel. The new weapons are online and the early warning network extends to the edge of the system. Kate nodded, studying the weapons platforms that surrounded New Terra. They were ugly things, a mix of human design and salvaged alien technology. Alien engineers they had captured would have been horrified at the modifications humans had made to their elegant systems. But that was the point. Humans didn't think like the aliens, and increasingly, that was proving to be their greatest strength. In the research center deep below the moon's surface, Dr. Lisa Clark watched as her team tested their latest breakthrough. They called it the Murphy Protocol, named after the old Earth saying, "Anything that can go wrong will go wrong." "Start the simulation," she ordered. On the large screen, a virtual battle played out. Standard coalition attack patterns against the modified defense systems of New Terra. The coalition ships moved with elegant precision, their tactics refined over thousands of years of warfare. But the Murphy Protocol didn't react as expected. Where the coalition expected standard defensive patterns, the human systems did the unexpected, taking risks, leaving deliberate gaps in their defense to create traps, using maneuvers that seemed irrational until the moment they worked. "Run it again," Lisa said. "This time, let the system make its own choices. No human input." The simulation reset. This time, the Murphy Protocol performed even better, developing tactics no human would have thought of, tactics that no alien would expect. "It's learning," whispered her assistant Mike. "But not like their AI learns, it's chaotic, unpredictable." Lisa smiled. "Exactly, like humans. We're not better than them. We're different. And they don't know how to fight different." The alarm sounded while Kate was inspecting the refugee housing in the eastern cavern. Red lights flashed, and the automated voice echoed through the tunnels. "Alert. Unidentified vessels entering system. All defense personnel to stations." She rushed to the command center, arriving just as the sensor data came in. 5 ships, reported the sensor officer. "Coalition design. Moving fast." Captain Tom Reed, now serving as civilian governor of New Terra, entered the command center. "How did they find us?" "Doesn't matter," Kate said. "They're here. Activate the Murphy Protocol." The tech officers looked nervous. "Colonel, it's not fully tested." Dr. Clark said, "Now, Lieutenant, that's an order." On the main screen, they watched the coalition ships approach, sleek, powerful vessels that could reduce New Terra to dust if they got close enough. "They're hailing us," said the communications officer. Tom stepped forward. "Put them through." The screen changed to show a humanoid alien with pale blue skin and large, dark eyes. It spoke in a flat tone, its words translated by the computer. "Survivors of Terra 3, your presence has been noted. Your technology is recognized as prohibited salvage. Surrender and prepare for processing." Tom looked at Kate, who shook her head slightly. They had discussed this possibility for 2 years. There would be no surrender. "This is Governor Tom Reed of New Terra. We claim this moon by right of settlement. We have no quarrel with the coalition." The alien's expression didn't change. "Your claim is irrelevant. Your species is unregistered. Prepare for processing or be eliminated." The transmission cut off. "They're moving into attack formation," reported the sensor officer. "Weapons charging." Kate took the command position. "Activate Murphy Protocol. Full autonomy." Around New Terra, the ugly hybrid defense platforms came to life. But instead of forming a standard defensive screen, they began to move in seemingly random patterns. The coalition ships fired their first volley, streams of energy that should have overwhelmed the primitive defenses. But the defense platforms weren't where they should have been. Some had powered down, appearing dead. Others had moved in close to the moon's surface, using its mass as a shield. "They're confused," Kate said, watching the tactical display. "Their targeting systems rely on prediction algorithms, but the Murphy Protocol doesn't follow any pattern they recognize." The coalition ships adjusted their formation, trying to compensate for the unusual defense tactics. That was when the apparently dead platform suddenly powered up again, launching salvos of missiles from unexpected angles. 2 coalition ships were hit, their shields flaring. "They're regrouping," said the tactical officer. "New attack pattern." But the Murphy Protocol was already changing too, learning and adapting faster than its opponents. Where the coalition expected the humans to press their small advantage, the defenses instead fell back, creating an apparent weakness. The coalition commander took the bait, sending 3 ships into the gap. "Now," Kate ordered. Hidden mines, planted in the moon's debris field weeks earlier, detonated, not powerful enough to destroy the coalition ships, but enough to disrupt their formation and shields. In the confused moments that followed, the Murphy Protocol struck again. This time, the attack was precise and conventional. Exactly what the coalition would have expected initially, but now coming when they were prepared for something unusual. One coalition ship erupted in flames. Another lost power and began to drift. "They're retreating," announced the sensor officer, disbelief in his voice. "The remaining 3 ships are breaking orbit." A cheer went up in the command center, quickly, silenced by Kate's raised hand. "Track them. Make sure they leave the system, and prepare for more. They'll be back, and in greater numbers." Later, in the debriefing room, Kate, Tom, and Lisa reviewed the battle data. "The Murphy Protocol exceeded expectations," Lisa said. "It adapted to their tactics faster than they could adapt to ours." Tom shook his head in wonder. "They've been fighting the same way for thousands of years. Their combat doctrine is perfect, against enemies who think like they do. But not against humans," Kate said. "Not against unpredictability and improvisation." "We were always called primitive," Lisa mused. "Our technology, our societies, our thinking. But what if that's exactly what makes us dangerous? We haven't had time to specialize and optimize like they have. We're generalists. Adaptable." Tom looked at the data showing the coalition ships fleeing. "Well, they know about us now, and word will spread." "Good," Kate said firmly. "Let it spread. Let them all know that the primitives from Earth aren't as helpless as they thought." In the days that followed, humans across New Terra worked with renewed purpose. The successful defense had changed something. For the first time since Earth's destruction, they weren't just surviving, they were fighting back. And in the vast galaxy that had dismissed them as primitives, word began to spread of the strange new species who fought like no one else, who used technology in ways never intended, and who had somehow pushed back against the mighty coalition with nothing but salvaged weapons and what the aliens were starting to call human chaos. 3 years after the Battle of New Terra, humanity had transformed from refugees to warriors. The Terran remnant now controlled 7 star systems, a small territory by galactic standards but fiercely defended. General Kate Wilson stood on the bridge of the Avenger, the flagship of the Terran fleet. The vessel had once been a coalition cruiser captured in battle and rebuilt with human modifications. Like all Terran ships, it was a strange mix of advanced alien technology and human ingenuity, ugly but deadly effective. "Status report," she ordered. "All ships in formation, General," replied her second-in-command, Commander Paul. "The Axis envoy vessel is approaching rendezvous point." Kate nodded. This meeting had been months in the making. The Axis, one of the 2 alien powers whose war had destroyed Earth, now sought an alliance with the humans they had once considered primitive. How things had changed. "Open a channel to all Terran ships," Kate said. "I want everyone to hear this." On dozens of vessels throughout the fleet, crews paused to listen to their general's words. "This is General Wilson. Today we meet with representatives of the Axis Confederation. Some of you remember them as one of the forces that destroyed our home. Others know them only from history lessons, but all of you know this. We are not the same frightened refugees who fled Earth 8 years ago. We meet them as equals, as a power in our own right. Stay alert. Trust nothing. Wilson out." The Axis ship that appeared at the rendezvous point was massive, dwarfing even the Avenger. It glowed with energy fields and moved with a grace that human ships still couldn't match. "They're hailing us," Commander Paul reported. "On screen," Kate ordered. The image of an Axis representative appeared, a tall, thin being with silvery skin and 4 arms. It spoke in a musical voice, the ship's computer translating. "Greetings, General Wilson of Terra. I am Ambassador Trell of the Axis Confederation. We are pleased to meet with you to discuss matters of mutual interest." Kate kept her face neutral. "Ambassador Trell, the Terran remnant acknowledges your greeting. State your purpose." If the Axis representative was offended by her directness, it didn't show. "The coalition advances against both our peoples. We propose an alliance against our common enemy." "The same enemy you fled from when you destroyed our world," Kate replied coldly. The ambassador bowed its head slightly. "A regrettable incident. We offer reparations as part of our proposed alliance. Reparations can't bring back Earth. No, but they may help secure a future for its survivors." Meanwhile, in the research center on New Terra, Dr. Lisa Clark reviewed the latest test results with growing excitement. What had begun as the Murphy Protocol had evolved into something far more significant. The test subjects showed a 78% increase in psionic response, reported her assistant Mike, now a senior scientist in his own right. "That's well beyond anything we've seen in alien subjects." Lisa studied the brain scans on the display. "And the control interface. Full neural integration. The human pilots can control the hybrid ships with thought alone, faster than any mechanical system." This was the breakthrough they had been working toward for years. Humans had discovered that while alien species had superior technology, they had engineered much of their evolutionary adaptability out of themselves over millennia of development. They had specialized, optimized, become perfect at what they did. But in doing so, they had lost something humans still possessed: raw potential, particularly the latent psionic abilities that most advanced species had bred out as primitive and unpredictable. "Most of the alien vessels rely on AI systems and precision instruments," Lisa said. "But our pilots can react on instinct, make intuitive leaps the aliens can't predict." "Not very scientific," Mike said with a smile. "No, but very human." Back at the diplomatic rendezvous, Kate listened as the Axis ambassador outlined the proposed alliance. The terms were surprisingly favorable. The Axis would provide advanced technology and recognition of Terran territory in exchange for human assistance against the Coalition. You're offering a lot, Kate observed. Why? What do humans have that the Axis needs? Ambassador Trell's silver face showed what might have been a smile. You have been fighting the Coalition for 5 years, General Wilson. You have captured their vessels, destroyed their outposts, evaded their hunting fleets. No other emerging species has ever done this. So you are unpredictable. The Coalition's prediction engines cannot model human behavior. Their strategic AIs fail against your, what do you call it? The Murphy Protocol? This is valuable to us. Before Kate could respond, the tactical officer shouted, General, Coalition signatures detected, multiple vessels dropping out of FTL. The space around the diplomatic meeting point flashed with light as a Coalition battle group appeared. 15 warships surrounding the Terran and Axis vessels. They tracked the Axis ship, Kate realized. This meeting was compromised. She turned to the screen. Ambassador, we need to... But the Axis ship was already moving, its engines flaring as it prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed. They're abandoning us, Commander Paul said in disbelief. Kate's face hardened. All ships battle formation, Charlie. Activate Murphy Protocol and prepare for engagement. The Terran fleet of 7 vessels moved to protect the Avenger, their weapons powering up. Against 15 Coalition ships, they had little chance. The Coalition commander's image appeared on screen, a being similar to the one they had faced at New Terra, but wearing more elaborate armor. Terran vessels. Your alliance with the Axis confirms your status as enemies of the Coalition. Surrender now. Kate looked at her tactical display. The Coalition had them surrounded, outgunned, and outnumbered. But they had made one critical mistake. New targeting data to all ships, she ordered quietly. Primary focus on their command vessel. She raised her head to address the Coalition commander. This is General Kate Wilson of the Terran Remnant. We surrender. The Coalition commander looked surprised, then satisfied. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Kate counted silently. 1, 2, 3. Now, she ordered. The Terran fleet's weapons remained powered down, but throughout the ships, human pilots connected to neural interfaces activating the one technology the Coalition didn't know about, the psionic amplifiers. Across the Coalition fleet, systems began to fail. Navigation computers showed false data. Weapon targeting systems lost lock. Communications scrambled. In the confusion, the Terran ships struck, not with conventional weapons, but with concentrated psionic attacks guided by human minds. Primitive, emotional, unpredictable human minds that the Coalition's defenses weren't designed to stop. 3 Coalition ships destroyed each other, firing on false targets. Their systems detected. 4 more drifted powerless, their crews incapacitated by psionic feedback. Push through their line, Kate ordered. All ships make for the jump point. The battle that followed was brief but brutal. The Terran fleet lost 2 vessels but managed to destroy or disable 8 Coalition ships. As they reached the jump point, Kate looked back at the tactical display showing the crippled Coalition battle group. Send a message to their commander, she said. Tell them. The primitives send their regards. As the Terran fleet jumped to safety, word of the battle spread quickly through galactic communications. The supposed primitives from a destroyed world had faced a Coalition battle group. And survived. More than survived. They had won. In her quarters later, Kate received a transmission from Dr. Clark on New Terra. The psionic amplifiers worked better than we hoped, Lisa reported. But there's more. We're detecting increased psionic potential in children born since we left Earth. Evolution in action, Kate. We're adapting. Kate thought about this. Humans adapting, evolving in response to their new environment faster than anyone could have predicted. While the ancient species of the galaxy had stagnated in their perfection, humanity was changing, growing stronger. The Axis will come back, she said. They need us now. Lisa nodded. And the Coalition fears us. What does that make us, Kate? What we've always been, Kate replied. Survivors. But now we're survivors with a purpose. That purpose had been whispered among the stars for 8 years, passed from ship to ship, colony to colony. The last message from Earth, now a battle. Cry for a species reborn. Remember us, remember Earth, and make them remember too. 10 years had passed since Earth's destruction. The day was now marked as remembrance across all 23 star systems of the Terran Confederation. What had begun as a handful of refugee ships had grown into a galactic power that neither the Coalition nor the Axis could ignore. Admiral Ben Foster, once a junior officer on one of the evacuation vessels, now commanded the entire Terran fleet. He stood on the observation deck of the New Horizons station, watching as the final components of humanity's greatest achievement moved into position. It's beautiful, said the woman who joined him at the viewport. Ben turned to see Dr. Lisa Clark, her hair now white, but her eyes still sharp with intelligence. She had become a legend among both humans and aliens, the scientist who had unlocked humanity's hidden potential. It is, Ben agreed, looking back at the massive vessel taking shape, in space before them. Hard to believe we went from refugees to this in just 10 years. The ship they watched was the Earthship, named in honor of their lost home. It was unlike anything in the galaxy, not because it was the largest or most powerful, though it was impressive in both regards. What made it unique was that it represented the perfect fusion of all that humanity had learned and become. Its hull contained elements of Coalition design, Axis energy systems, and a dozen other alien technologies that humans had encountered, captured, or traded for. But at its heart was something purely human, a core of intuition, adaptation, and the controlled chaos that had become their trademark. The Coalition delegation has arrived, reported a young officer. They're requesting permission to board the station. Ben nodded. Granted, and inform me when the Axis representatives arrive. He turned to Lisa. Are you ready for this? She smiled. I've been ready for 10 years. Throughout the station, humans went about their duties alongside aliens of various species. Some were refugees from worlds destroyed in the ongoing galactic conflict. Others were diplomats, traitors, or defectors who had chosen to ally themselves with the surprising newcomers to the galactic stage. In a conference room decorated with images of Earth, some actual photographs, others recreations painted by those too young to remember, Ben and Lisa greeted the Coalition delegation. The lead representative was tall and blue-skinned, wearing the formal armor of a high commander. Admiral Foster, Dr. Clark, the Coalition extends greetings on this day of significance to your people. High Commander Vrel, Ben replied with a formal bow. The Terran Confederation welcomes you to New Horizon. 10 years ago, such a meeting would have been unimaginable. The Coalition had been bent on eliminating the human infestation, but that was before Centauri Prime. The battle had been the turning point. 40 Terran vessels against 100 Coalition ships at their primary manufacturing hub. By all logic, the humans should have been annihilated. Instead, they had achieved the impossible. Human pilots, their natural abilities enhanced by the psionic technology Lisa had developed, had torn through Coalition defenses like they didn't exist. Where Coalition commanders followed battle doctrines perfected over thousands of years, humans improvised. Where Coalition ships flew in precise formations, human vessels seemed to move in chaotic patterns that only made sense in retrospect. The Coalition lost 70 ships that day. The Terran fleet lost 12. And when it was over, Ben Foster had stood on the bridge of his command ship and broadcast a message throughout the system. You called us primitive. We called it being human. Since that day, the Coalition had approached the humans with wary respect. The Axis had actively sought alliance, and humanity had leveraged their position between the two powers to gradually push for an end to the conflict that had destroyed their homeworld. The Axis delegation has arrived, announced the communications officer. Escort them to the conference room, Ben ordered, and prepare the Earthship for the demonstration. When all the dignitaries were assembled, Coalition, Axis, and representatives from a dozen smaller galactic powers, Ben led them to a special viewing area overlooking the massive ship. 10 years ago, he began, our world was destroyed in your war. We were considered primitives barely worth noticing. Today we stand before you not as supplicants, but as equals. The aliens watched silently, some with diplomatic politeness, others with clear unease. The Earthship represents more than just Terran engineering, Ben continued. It embodies our approach to the galaxy. We take what works. We discard what doesn't. We adapt, we innovate, and we move forward. Not alone, but together with any who wish to join us. Lisa stepped forward, her small figure commanding attention. For millennia, your civilizations have refined yourselves toward what you saw as perfection. You specialized your bodies, your minds, your societies. In doing so, you lost something vital, the ability to change, to see things from new perspectives. She gestured toward the assembled aliens. Some of you engineered emotion out of your species, seeing it as a primitive weakness. Others removed what you called erratic neural patterns, the very patterns that allow humans to make intuitive leaps. You pursued efficiency and predictability, and you found them, but at a cost. The Earthship's engines began to glow, a soft, blue light that steadily brightened. Humanity never had the chance to reach that level of specialization, Lisa said. What you saw as our primitive nature was actually our strength. We can feel deeply, think unpredictably, and adapt rapidly. Where you see disorder, we see possibility. The ship now pulsed with energy, its hybrid systems coming fully online for the first time. The Terran Confederation does not seek to rule the galaxy, Ben said firmly. But neither will we allow the conflicts of ancient powers to threaten younger species as they emerge. The war between Coalition and Axis ends today. High Commander Vrel of the Coalition stepped forward. With respect, Admiral Foster, you cannot dictate terms to civilizations thousands of years older than your own. Ben smiled. We're not dictating. We're demonstrating. At his signal, the Earthship activated its main system. There was no visible beam, no weapon firing. But across the station, every alien felt it. A wave of psionic energy, carefully calibrated to pass through shields and hull metal as if they weren't there. The sensation wasn't painful. It was connection. For a brief moment, every being on the station experienced what it meant to be human, the grief for a lost world, the determination to survive, the hope for a better future, and the resolve to never again allow a tragedy like Earth's destruction. When it faded, the conference room was silent. That, Lisa said quietly, is what you dismissed as primitive. The capacity to feel deeply, to connect, to understand each other across the boundaries of species and experience. We don't want your war. We want a galaxy where Earth is remembered, not as the casualty of ancient hatreds, but as the birthplace of a new understanding. The Axis ambassador was the first to speak. How did you do that? The same way we've done everything since our world died, Ben replied. We adapted. We took what we were given and we made it into something new. In the days that followed, the peace accord was signed. Not because the humans had forced it, though the demonstration of their unique abilities had made an impression. Rather, because for the first time in millennia, the old powers of the galaxy had experienced something they had forgotten, the perspective of the other. As the Earthship prepared for its maiden voyage, Ben stood again at the viewport with Lisa beside him. We actually did it, he said. 10 years from refugees to this. Lisa nodded. Earth would be proud. She looked out at the stars. What do you think we'll find out there? Ben thought of the 100 worlds already part of the Terran Confederation, of the thousands more they had yet to explore, of the young species they could protect, the ancient mysteries they could unravel. I don't know, he said. But whatever it is, we'll face it as humans, adaptable, unpredictable. He smiled. Gloriously primitive. Across the station, the last message from Earth, once a call for vengeance, had been reborn as a promise for the future. Remember us. Remember Earth, and make them remember, not through fear but through hope.